Yo, what's up, everyone? Today we got Chad Westport in the building. The man, the myth, the legend. I know you guys know him. Some of you might not. And if you don't, Chad, come on, introduce yourself.
What's up, Westport? Dude, stoked to be here today. Thank you for asking me to come and hang out. I'm already excited for this. This is gonna be a good one.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Well, let's just pick off that conversation that we were going with, man. You were saying that you used to skate all the time. I'm a big skater, and I used to skate a bunch of street and a bunch of vert, mainly street. I don't do too much vert because I never got the hang of that whole half pipe game and stuff. Just never liked it. But like rails, stairs, anything you get me on that, I love it.
Crazy.
What is your preference? Like, what was it that you really did?
And so, skating street was what I started with. There was one skate park in the state of Washington. It was in Yakima. It was 3 hours away from me. I didn't even drive. So street was all we had. And yeah, did a lot of that. It was cool. I was, I remember seeing the skate parks being built. Like there's one every 10, 15 miles now. If in Washington, if you're on I-5, you can find a skate park anywhere, which is awesome. But that's what I like to skate now, man, because landing on the flat, my knees, my ankles can't take that anymore. So I need to land on the transition and just gracefully glide back down to earth. Because that's how I like to get down these days is at the skate parks.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. What brand do you skate? Like Girl, Envy? Which ones?
I've always been a big anti-hero fan. I usually picked up a lot of blanks, like the Zoomies blanks, because they were always cheaper. And there was the ATM blanks. The ATMs used to have super deep concave, and I would like a ridiculously deep concave to ollie higher. But yeah, when it comes to brands, diehard independent, always been independent for 30 plus years. Skate my indies, love my Spitfire wheels.
Yeah.
A lot of the not Tomieto. I used to work in the skate industry too, just in shops, but I did a lot of the ordering. So it's amazing how a lot of these Dwindle. That's what I'm thinking of. A lot of these brands come out from one main distributor warehouse, but Deluxe, San Francisco, they handled indies, Spitfire. So I was really into that stuff. Yeah, into the brands.
And so with that whole how do you say that stereotypical skater vibe? You know what I mean? I know you know what I'm talking about. Is that really what kind of got you into the whole cannabis scene, or what is it that really piqued your interest in stepping into the cannabis game?
It was being around older skaters actually where I first saw cannabis or was exposed to it. So that was just kind of part of the whole rebel thing, it's you weren't really supposed to skate at that time, and you're definitely not supposed to do the reefer because all of the lies. It's okay, dude, skateboarding is now an Olympic sport and weed is a multi-billion-dollar industry. So let's just take all those mean things back people said about me. But yeah, it was kind of that just rebel vibe that kind of merged the two together, and I was around it before I even tried it for a long time, just because it wasn't a thing. But then there was one day where I was okay, I'll try this stuff. It was good, and now I've raped and murdered and killed. No, none of the above. Dude, I donate to the freaking March of Dimes. Come on.
Yeah. Dude, all those propagandas back in the day, those cracked me up. Those are some of my favorite. I'm trying to collect all the posters and stuff.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. The devil's lettuce, all that just kills me.
That was the crappy thing, is because that was such it could have been an innocent conversation or an educated conversation without the propaganda and the fear, and I probably wouldn't have questioned as many things as I did. But once you find out that you're lied to about one thing that's just innocuous, you're what else am I lied to about? So yeah, and maybe a curious kid.
Yeah, it's the fact that they laid it on so fucking heavy. They just said this most outrageous things. You're I don't know about that.
Yeah.
All right. So what really got you into the game of breeding? So because like I know that I know that you talk about like the way that the flowers look and stuff, but I'm like,
Mhm.
what is it that really was it a friend? Was it like a brother, family member?
Yeah, it was necessity, really. It's like, so necessity got me into making seeds. Like in the 2010, 2011, the medical system in Washington, if you were a card holder, you could purchase seeds, you could purchase clones. But in 2012, the state voted to go recreational, and I knew ahead of time, once it went recreational, medical as we knew it was going to go away. It was going to fold, and no longer could you have access to clones or have access to seeds, because I didn't know. I knew growers all around me, but I didn't really have that seed connection, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
Um, so I knew I had to do something. So with some of those clones and those seed packs that I got back that day, I'm like, well, I need to make an increase. So I started making more seeds, and that allowed me to grow into the future. And from doing that, what that kind of gave me another love or appreciation for was seeing the parental traits in the offspring. Because I ran things over and over for years at a time. So I really knew what A did and I really knew what B did. But when I saw it in C, I could start to pick out certain things and tell what was dominant and maybe what was recessive, and then use that to cross with other things. And so that's kind of where it got into the breeding, was just the fun of seeing the differences and trying to steer that in a direction that I wanted to. And like the ultimate purpose for me though is like, I use it medicinally. I love it recreationally too, but I primarily use it medicinally. And I know the beneficial impact it has on my life. If I find something that helps me for my condition, I am pretty damn sure there's somebody else that can benefit from it. So that's really the ultimate goal, is like, I want to help myself, but I know helping myself is going to help a lot of other people. So yeah, that's kind of the beginning to end there in a nutshell with the breeding.
Oh yeah. So would you say that you were growing a lot like for a long period of time before you started breeding, or did you start breeding
Yeah.
like right off the rip?
Yeah. No, I was growing for a long time. And so, I made seeds a couple years into it just to, again, have more, but to really do things with an intention. I had gone through enough plants, because I started with like bag seeds, the 90s bag seeds, and
Yeah.
then some of the pro gear that I was able to buy. And I really did see the difference between the two and how, direction can help it.
Mhm.
Um, I kind of spaced that one out there. I'm sorry.
You're
But
all good.
yeah, yeah. Damn it. I completely squirreled that.
You're all
I
good,
got excited. I got excited.
man.
Nice, Adam. Good to see you.
Oh yeah, nice, Adam. Thanks, man. Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it. Um, so for someone who's new into breeding, what are those fundamental steps that you would really have to like look for? Like, what is it that you would
Right,
do
right.
for someone
Oh,
who's I hope I'm asking that right. Yeah.
well, I think a good question. I've got an answer to that one, whether it's what you meant to ask or not. But and because it actually reminds me of where I just squirreled off there. It was, growing the plants repeatedly for years at a time. I kind of got familiar with them. And that ultimately, to anybody who wants to get like serious about breeding, that's probably one of my bigger pieces of advice. And it's like multi-pronged, because if you grow something time and time again for multiple runs, you're likely going to have one run where you didn't water enough, or one where it was really hot. So you kind of get to see what it does in different conditions. So you're kind of unintentionally stress testing it that way.
Yep.
You're also getting to see, how it performs and what its morphology is like, because most people, I tend to just like blankly stare at my garden at night, and you just notice those little things like the spacing between the nodes, or how the leaves unfold as they come out. And so being ultimately familiar with the plants really helps you in that aspect. But if you're also growing it for years, you like it.
Yeah.
And that's so important, man. Like if you are going to spend time to breed with something, do it with something you love, because you're going to be stuck working with it for years. So yeah, if you've grown it for years already, it's earned its way. It's earned its keep, which is important. So that's my biggest piece of advice, man. Start with plants you've grown for years.
That's 100%. That's a good start. Good start. Always know what you're going to start breeding with. Like know the lineage and everything. I love that.
Yeah.
So can you walk us through some breeding processes from start to finish, like exactly like how you would go through it, like your phenos and your genotypes? Jesus Christ, I'm studying here.
Yeah, no, dude, great questions, because it's not the details aren't talked about all the time. It's just, sometimes it's just kind of a generalization, but the details are important, because that's, again, that's really how to get things done. And like, I kind of think the place it start. I mean, obviously, again, we've covered that you're familiar with your plants, you know what you're crossing, and whether if it's like a male, you've hopefully grown the sisters, so you know what that family is. Because males, they're hard to predict. I mean, you can do stem rub, you could do reversals, you could do little things to males, but really, we're kind of rolling the dice with the male. But if you've grown out the females of that same line, you have a better understanding of it. Or if you're doing a reversal, you have two females that you've grown, you're familiar with, you're reversing one. So you're familiar with them already. But the details of like when to start them, when to flower them is important, because if you just put a male and a female in the flowering tent at the same time, that male's going to be ready.
Before?
Oh my God. Yeah. Hello. No. Yeah. No. So, because I just did a reversal. So I did my reversals first, and I put my females in first. Yes. Okay. Sorry. My God. So with the, it's been a while since I've done a male and a female reversal. I've been doing, male and female breeding. I've been doing reversals for like the last 3 years. So with the male and the female, you want to put the female in first. And the reason why this is important, again, is they're going to mature at a different rates. And with a female, you want the pistils to already kind of developed into like a fingernail, at least to like a pinky nail sized ball on the end of each tips, with all of the stigmas of the pistils hanging out, because those are going to be what receives the pollen. So I'll usually start those a little bit earlier for them to mature, and then I'll start the male usually like a week, sometimes 2 weeks later, but usually probably about a week, because the male will start to open and drop pollen faster than the female gets ready to receive it. Flip the script for doing reversals. I started the reversal for this one. It took 30 days from the day I flipped it to 1212 until it actually dropped pollen. So that's a lot different than the regular male. So the females I actually started 2 weeks after the male here, because again, they need about 2 to 3 weeks to get that nice size of puffball on it, to receive the pollen. So I can't believe I probably just hopefully didn't confuse everybody on that, because the way I started out with that one. But yes, timing is important. Again, male, female, put your females in a week, maybe 2 weeks earlier, and then put your male into 1212, and everything will line up as far as receiving and pollen. If you're doing a reversal, start that male start the reversal plant at least 2 weeks ahead of the female. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Okay, so Mad Dog got a question here. Says, which one of oh shit, I can't read them. Hi.
Wow. Let's see.
Ooh shit.
So as far as like, and I can't really think of a dab that did this to me, but like flower wise, uncomfortably high. The last time I can remember, it was Pine Tar Kush. It was up in Canada. I was up there at Rogers Arena for a UFC event. My buddy does the audio for them, so I always go and hang out with him. And it was a great time. So the event's over. Everybody's kind of packing up the road cases, doing their stuff. We're like, all right, let's go out and, go to one of the cannabis shops on Hastings. we go down there and we sit there, and it's a legal lounge. You can smoke cannabis in there. You can't smoke nicotine, but cannabis is cool. You can rent, bong. If you have a pipe, you can roll a joint, whatever. They have volcanoes. And we got this pine tar kush from just a place like a block up. And we went and we put it in the volcano. Dude, so high, uncomfortably high. Like, he ordered me a sandwich. I didn't even eat it because it was like one of those, like, I don't like my stomach. I don't want to like upset the equilibrium going on right now. Pine tar kush, man. That was a heavy hitter.
Pine tar kush. I gotta get some of that, man. You said in a volcano. What kind of size bag were you using?
It was probably like a 2-footer. Because it's a cafe, so you're typically sharing, but it was just me and him, and you're like at limited time at that counter. Like, if you sit up at the counter, you pay by the hour. If you sit at like one of the booths or the tables, you're a little bit more fine, but it's prime real estate. So yeah, we got close to that hour coming up, man, and we were the Americans that were just too stoned because he bought a bunch. We were like, well, we got to smoke it all. Bad idea, man. I really was uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's wild. I always wanted to go somewhere like a cafe bar or whatever. What are they called? Yeah, cafe bar.
Yeah, just cafe. In Canada, and I go to the Netherlands. I go to Amsterdam a lot, and they call them coffee shops, which is confusing in itself because, they do serve coffee, but that's not why people go there. But yeah, they're coffee shops in Amsterdam.
Always wanted. All right. Next question. How do you select a parent plant for breeding? Like, what traits are you looking for the most? That interspatial noting, the smells, aroma, what you looking for?
Oh yeah, those are good ones. Those all of the above. And the first one that you mentioned, just the internodal spacing, is kind of that's something that you notice before you notice the smell. That's something that you notice before you get the effect from it. So when I'm going through new seeds and I'm like looking for something and kind of pheno hunting, to dive back into the question you asked earlier, structure is something that I'm looking at. And because I'm growing indoors, I'm growing in tents with, limited height. And a lot of people are too. Short internodal spacing is usually something that I'm looking for. I want something that's going to be short. I want something that's going to be bushy. I don't want something that stretches a whole bunch because, again, you have limited space in your tent. You got, your fan and your carbon filter mounted up. You got your light below that. Then you got your pot size. So really, there's only so much space you can work with. And depending upon what size of plants you're going for or how long you veg, they can get tall. So I tend to, I look when I'm pheno hunting or I'm choosing a plant to work with. That's one of the first things I clue in on is how tight do they stay. But there is such a thing as too tight because airflow, PM. But I am looking for something compact. I do look for something with strong branching too, and that's hopefully something you get more with compact plants because taller plants with skinny, weak limbs, if they get heavy bud set, then that's a nightmare to grow. You got to scrog it. You got to do this up. I want things. Exactly. Yeah. Like I want to try to make it as easy as possible for anybody growing it. So that starts with structure.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. All right. So on the topic of breeding, what would you say? Oh snap! Hold up. Ames, where are you from? I was born in Idaho, but I'm raised kind of everywhere. I moved around all of the time, jumping from places to places. Lived in Idaho, New Mexico, Minnesota. Lived in Georgia for a little bit. Moved around a lot.
It's all over. So this country is pretty cool because it is diverse. Like I live in Washington, but you go to Georgia, and that's a different thing. You go over to New York, that's a different thing. So it's cool that you've been around, man. It's cool.
Just the style. Everybody's style is different. People like different things. Taste different things. Like everything. It's wild out there.
Yep.
But real quick, what was the saying? Yeah. So on the breeding, what would you say that your most successful breeding project to date has been, and why would you say that? Like, what would it?
Right.
What made it successful? Like, was it more of like something that you haven't released yet, or something that has just sold well? You know what I mean?
Right. Like that's a really good question. Really good question. Because there's been some hits, there's been some misses. Probably the one that I'm most known for that I work with everything, the Westport grape juice.
Oh yeah.
Like that's mine, but it wasn't necessarily bred. I'm not involved there. But that's the one I'm like most proud of is the Westport's grape juice, and it's totally fine. It is mine, but project wise, it might be these no jokes. It might be these no jokes, which I've grown out a couple myself. I brought them around when I went to Colorado. Had some like people who like make me look like an infant in this thing. Try them out, and they were actually like, "Wait a minute!" They liked it, which meant a lot to me. I'm getting a lot of feedback from testers right now. I'm seeing their pictures, and those are all going good. It's definitely like one of the jars that I reach to first during the daytime here. So I think the no joke actually might be one of my probably gonna be the more popular things. Just it's heavy trichomes. It's not gonna be a hit with the gas lovers. I'll say that right now, and there are a lot of gas lovers out there. I love gas myself. But just the flavor and the profile, the trichome coverage, the percentage that it washes at, just from the feedback I have, I didn't wash it myself. That might be the biggest one. So yeah, kind of stoked on the no joke.
Oh yeah,
I
man.
named it appropriately.
Yeah,
No joke, man.
it is. It is honestly no joke. I've seen a lot of the pics on Instagram and a couple in the Discord. Man, I
Nice.
can't. I'm trying to get me some of that. That is just amazing looking. It is crazy.
Thank, thank you. I'm excited, man. I'm stoked to. I'm gonna probably put out a couple more testers on the website, and then I have it in my mind November, because that will give us, if people popped more now and I pop a couple more now, do a second run of it, that could finish easily by November, or at least be close to finish, and that will give me all I need. So I'm breaking news here because I thought of
Mm.
this past week. But yeah, breaking news here. No joke November. No joke
Yeah,
November. That's what I'm aiming for.
you heard it here, right here, exclusive
Yes.
first. No joke,
Yes.
November. Oh yeah, I'm definitely about to get on that train. I can tell you that for sure. That plant is looking crazy, super
Thank you.
beautiful. I seen that one that you shared, dude. That thing had been massive, and just like the spacing. Oh my god, just, what?
I'm so stoked to have people that grow it outside. And there's one person who's like 50 miles from me growing it outside. I'm like, I don't even grow outside here. You're crazy. But he's growing it outside, and dude, everybody who's doing it outside, they're freaking monsters. Like,
Mm.
I can't wait to see those fully flowered, because they haven't gone through that cycle yet. But dude, yeah, they're like freaking massive.
Oh yeah, they are. They're big, bro. Um, Speaking of breeding, who would you say your inspiration is in the game right now? Like, as another breeder, who would you say that you're really inspired by? And I don't mean just as of now. I mean of all
Right.
time. Like, who really do you look for inspiration when it comes to how you do your techniques and like your standard procedures and stuff? You know what I mean?
Yep, definitely, man. It's an easier question to answer than I thought it would be originally. It's harder to say the damn sentence. Because starting out, Subcool, TGA, RIP Subcool, TGA, Team Green Avengers. That was his business name before it went to the Dank. He passed away now. Ms. Jill takes on a lot of it. But TGA Genetics and Subcool specifically, I learned a lot about terpenes and profiles and breeding for medicinal effects from their approach back in, again, early 2010s. When we had med here, that was one of the beans that you could get. And so I grew him out. I learned more about him. He had the Weed Nerd show, but he was really growing for medicinal patients, and he had all kinds of crazy terpene profiles. He was ahead of his time as far as like the fruit stuff, is when everybody was into OG, it was when everybody was into gas. But just, yeah, his approach and what I learned from him is definitely, it makes him like my all-time kind of inspiration and person that I've leaned on for breeding knowledge and guidance. But the current day one, easier to answer, James Loud, without a doubt. And James Loud does his own podcast. We used to be on the same Future Cannabis project channel a couple of years ago, and he would spend hours just talking about breeding stuff. I've learned so much from him, and anybody can go and learn from him. And an excellent reason why he's the current guy is his new book. It's just called Cannabis Breeding. There's a subtitle to it, but Cannabis Breeding by James Loud, without a doubt, the best guide to learn the process, learn the why behind it, learn some of the pitfalls, some of the advantages, and some of the shortcuts like that. If anybody's ever interested in like actual breeding and proper with like science background, but still in a like common language readable format, that book is fantastic. So yeah, that's who I look to like current day.
And that's James Loud, right?
Yeah, James Loud. He's got a ton of knowledge. So
he does the Seed to Harvest podcast. Or was he just recently on the Seed to Harvest?
He was on there. Yeah, he was on there with Rue Alcanasur, Saul Bunyan. Yeah. He was just on that show. But he's got his own show on his own channel. I guess just the James Loud podcast. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, I just wanted to double check that we're like it was the same guy I was thinking of.
Because there's James Bean as well, and I've confused the two in chat. I've totally had a conversation with James Bean thinking he was James Loud, and he was just like, "Really? Today? Me? Who? You talked to me?" Yeah, it happened. So James Loud.
All right. Bluesman asking, how much do you consume daily, bro?
Good question, because I don't have a scale and I grow, so it's never an issue. Probably, my guess is probably less than 2 grams, or right around 2 grams maybe, which doesn't sound like a lot. Like I constantly smoke, I constantly sip. Like I have a little chillum. It fits in my hand right now, which is great because you can conceal it. But I pretty much always have that loaded, and every little while I'll just take a couple puffs on it and I'll keep working. And sometimes it's a little bit more than others. But my wife, on the other hand, she doesn't smoke all day. She gets everything done, what she needs to. And then when it's time, she loads just freaking like a fistful into a bong and takes it straight to the head in like 2 tokes. I'm like, how do you do that? But, yeah, I'm a sipper. So that's about 2 grams, I guess.
I cannot say that. Smoke a disturbing amount.
Well, let's say, okay, so in my prime, we were smoking like an ounce a day. So that in like the good old days, Chad, like we were easily burning like an ounce a day, like no problem. Like that was a thing. But I'm a little bit older now. I'm just as high, but it doesn't take as much, man. You build your tolerance for 35 years.
Oh my god. All right. So how many tents would I need to start a breeding run or to create feminized seeds? It's a good question. Good question.
Yeah. Yep. You could get away with 1 tent. Ideally you have 2, because again, with the veg cycle, you don't necessarily have to worry about light leaks or anything. You could do it 24/0. So if you don't have 2 tents, you can scrape it, but ideally 2 tents, because again, you're going to have to start with a reversal project for feminized seeds. You're going to have to start that male on 12/12 2 weeks ahead of your female. So they're going to have somewhere to hang out for a couple weeks at least. So yeah, 2 is ideal.
Minimum, 100%.
Yeah.
So can you describe when you realized that a breeding project had truly succeeded? Like, first one, like your first breeding project, when you knew, fuck, this is the one? Like, how did that feel? Like, what was the thoughts? You know?
It's amazing. And it comes from the feedback, the feedback from people. You know, hopefully, it's usually. I mean, early on, it was really just medicinal people in the area, or just like friends. Like I was who needed something to grow. I'm like, here's some seeds, try them out. This is what it did for me. Um, so getting that feedback, that is really the sign of success for me, because I've had like strains, like there's the jar test. So if you grow like 5 different strains, you go to the party, you put the 5 jars on the table, it's like, which one is empty first? We all have our favorite child, and there's been, you know, a lot of times actually where my favorite wasn't the first empty. There's one time in particular I could think it was the last empty, and on a couple different occasions. So feedback is what's important. And when you get someone who's like, wow, I enjoyed that, or wow, it did this for me, that's awesome. That's where it's at. That's when you know it's a success, because what I may think is awesome, not everybody else does.
I feel that 100%. Certain strains that I've grew out, 100% thought this is the one. This is the one. Had the homie smell it, just smell it. Like, whoa, the fuck? No, I'm not even tasting that. Like, but
Oh no.
like,
Sometimes that's a good sign though. If it's so offensive, someone doesn't want to taste it, you're like, there's a crowd for it.
right? There's a crowd for that, you know. I'm like I'm looking for a certain terpene, the baby shit. I've heard it's been
Yes.
running around. I'm looking for it. I can't find it. I'm looking for it. So if any of you
Yeah.
know, make sure to drop that down in the comments because I'm looking for it. As weird as that sounds.
I was looking for dog shit, and I got pineapple. So yeah, we're on the shit hunt.
Yeah, the shit. All right, question for Chad Westport. How long does it take for seeds to mature from pollination? This is for everyone.
Good question. Definitely good
Great
question.
bootleg, man.
Generally, yeah, usually 6 to 8 weeks from pollination is what I've always gone with. You can always check. Sometimes it is a little bit faster, but 6 to 8 weeks is a good amount of time. I would rather let it go longer than pull it shorter. And I was explaining the other day too that these plants don't self-destruct. So if it's an 8-week strain, and I'm telling you to take it 8 weeks now, but I also said wait till week 3 to pollinate it. Well, that's going to put it at 11 weeks out. So don't worry about like the buds or the trichomes, because if you're seeding a plant, you're primarily using it for the seeds. Sure, you could roll some joints up, keef it, do it over your trim bin, but you're not really going in there for the quality of the flower. So 6 to 8 weeks after pollination. And if you want to go a little bit longer, do it. If you could keep your plant alive and healthy, let it go. But yeah, don't let it go like 12 weeks. At that point, you should probably just like cut it if there's not enough mature. And that's another thing, I guess, too, maybe with the timing thing, is I always pull the males out after I can tell things have been pollinated. You usually see the little seeds forming, but the pistils will turn brown. They'll kind of recede back into the calyx. But I pull the males out after that point. If somebody left their male in just indefinitely, well, every little new stigma is going to get pollinated. So you have a bunch of immature stuff. So yeah, avoid that. Let all the strength go to the ones that have already been pollinated to build that seed.
And on that topic, do you, there's a lot of people that change their light schedules when it comes to, let's say, ripening the seeds. If that's the best way I can put it, do you do that?
I don't. I keep them on 12/12 all the way up until the time I take them down. I harvest them as normal. I hang them as normal. I dry them, hang dry them as normal. And then I don't typically jar them if there's a lot for me to deal with or process, because I take every seed out by hand. I have one of those hanging like net things. And so I'll cut them into smaller pieces. It's basically already almost dry, but I'm not worried about a bud with a flat spot on it because, again, I'm not really after the bud. So yeah, I'll put it in there until I can process it all. But yeah, that's how I deal with the seed process.
Nice. Okay. And so you've been in the game for like how long?
A while. I always say I started back in 2010 when I got a medical license. So yeah, it's been longer than that, but that's usually where I start talking.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah, exactly.
So you, like I said, you've been in the game for a while. What would you say that your biggest challenges in your business have been, like overcoming, like when it comes to running, Twin Peaks and everything?
Doing stuff. Just longevity like that. I'm not worried about going anywhere. This is something that I love to do. This is something that I'm always going to do. It's always going to be a part of my life. So I'm happy with the slow build, and not everybody may be content with that because, now a lot of people want results, and I kind of am more of a firm believer of just like taking your time to build a solid base, because if you have a solid base which you've earned through good education, through good products, through again longevity, that solid base is going to take you a lot further than just the flash in the pan. So that might be probably the hardest thing that I've had to deal with, is just being happy, building it slow. And again, it's like I do other stuff that supports what I do here. So like I don't have to put money from my website to pay the phone bill. If that was the case, it'd be, I'd probably be pushing it a lot harder.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I want to build that solid base. And that's one thing that I look at with like YouTube. There's channels, and again, we all know friends and people that fall into this category, but I am not talking about anybody specifically here. So please don't misinterpret this. But there are some channels, and you could apply this to any freaking genre too. It's not just cannabis, but a channel with like 100,000 subscribers that regularly gets maybe like a couple thousand watches. A couple thousand watches is a whole lot of damn watches. I mean, that's a lot of freaking eyeballs. Like, that's impressive. That's larger than I ever thought I would get.
Mm-hmm.
But that like percentage of engagement, which I mean, YouTube and Instagram, they care about that. But what I care about is people who are actually like down with it. So like that percentage of engagement is low, and I may have like a tenth of their subscribers, but I'm getting like kind of close to the same watch. So that to me means that people are really into what I'm doing, and that means I'm delivering value. So that tells me I'm on the right course and to keep doing that. And I'm sorry, that's a long-winded answer, but I guess that's appropriate talking about like long-term vision.
Yeah, dude, that was perfect answer. That was spot on. That was good.
Oh, shoot. I love this. This is fun. You're getting the good side of me. I'm high. I've had too much true serum.
I love it. That's perfect. It answered my other question I was going to ask you. Just answering all my questions with one question.
Yes.
Too easy. Oh.
I know. No, I do. I've had guests do that too, and I'm like, oh dang, you just took my next 5 questions away from me. What do I do?
All right. Ways to enjoy cannabis. Like, is it just flower? Do you like dabbing? Edible?
Yeah, I'm like a flower guy. 98% flower, 1% vape pen, because that's how I get high doses of CBD, concentrated CBD, 40%. I don't know a flower with it. And then 1% edibles. But yeah, I don't have any problem with concentrates. Don't have any problem with dabs. I've done them. I'll occasionally do them. I have some in the drawer, but Yeah, like I love my flower for full plant medicine, full spectrum. Nothing's taken away, nothing's isolated. I do get a different effect from dabs versus flower for me. But also just how the endocannabinoid system works, the CB1, CB2 receptors with all these cannabinoids. Because I like to use it medicinally. And, I'm doing pretty good now. There'll probably be a time where I need higher doses of these cannabinoids. And I'd love to reserve those higher doses for the appropriate time for me. So that's why I'm primarily flower, but no issue with anybody doing their thing.
Okay, Kirkin Cup got a question. Let's see.
he's
That's
asked me this.
Yeah, that's a good one. When are you going to be doing that? No, I'll buy that book. If you do it, I'll buy it. I'll buy it.
That's awesome. He's been asking. I might have to at some point. I'll talk to James. I'll be like, James, I know Morgan Freeman is your first choice. That's who I would have gone with too.
Yeah,
but
that's a good one.
We'll go with it. Thank you, Cake. Good to see you, buddy. It's good to see you.
How much do we need to pay?
Oh, no.
Let's go.
That's true.
It's the thing. We're going to make it happen, Ted.
Oh, shoot. Turn it into a hashtag now. God, that'll be funny. I'd do it for free.
I love it. So how's been being involved in the cannabis industry and influenced your daily routine and lifestyle? Like, would you say that now that you have your own business, that you go out of your way more to be in the grow room besides like a daily different type of job or anything,
I spend probably more time in front of the computer now instead of in front of the grow room, which is nice. Again, it's small and manageable, the numbers that I have. But if I were doing this commercially or just as like medicinal license in the traditional sense, like I have a personal medical license, but I can't storefront it. I would be much more time in the garden and actually probably producing less content, unfortunately. But I have the passion for it and I have the drive. And so I spend probably more time in front of the computer than the garden, but it's influenced my lifestyle in one of those like good but negative ways, because it really is 7 days a week. I kind of go to sleep thinking of ideas. I wake up thinking like, okay, I need to check the emails. It's a nonstop thing. Yeah. And I just got away for, an overnight trip the other day, and that was nice, but it was weird not looking at anything for a day, which is a sad comment, but that's how it's influenced my life, man.
It feels weird.
Yeah. It's a good thing though.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. You definitely can't be on the screens too much. You know what I mean? You definitely have to get in touch with fucking earth, man. Like life, real life, what's happening outside of your door.
So important, man. So important. And it's amazing too. Because again, we are, and I realize this from the music world, like I made electronic music, played that. We're this big of the picture of like life. Like there's so much outside of it. And as big and as consuming as this small amount seems, because it can be, there's an overload of what we can take in and consume. We're still this percentage. So don't forget there's all this out there. And it is sometimes when you step away just for a day or two, you're like, I feel high, man. What's going on? This is weird.
Yeah. It's like, even like not being high, like just being sober, just stopping and just like looking up and then like realizing how small we are, that you just, fuck them. Am I high right now?
Your brain, dude, the doorway's been opened, man. Yep. You're on to free thinking and questioning. That's a dangerous thing.
Everything, questioning everything. Like, oh fuck. Does it really matter? All right. So what kind of hobbies you got outside of cannabis?
Hobbies. So I enjoy skateboarding, always have. That's a lifelong thing. I enjoy my music. I don't perform anymore, but I still listen to it, still collect it, love it just as much. Um, and then so I have a background of audio engineering, music production, and I love that stuff. Again, there's no end. Like gardening, you're never going to know it all. There's always something new you can learn. And when it comes to like audio editing, video editing is basically identical. It's all done on a timeline. You cut, you slice, you move, you add stuff to the top of it. So
Yeah.
doing some of these like projects that a lot of people are like, oh, I hate editing, or oh, I hate finding B-roll. It's like, that's kind of my hobby. So it works out sometimes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Wonder cooking is a Westport household. Medieval money.
Bro, dude, me and my wife are awesome. We are excellent together, but I still use like paper plates because I don't want to wash dishes. She's got fancy stuff. She's a normal person. I'll reuse the same damn paper plate like 3 times
Hey,
for a
it's the
sandwich. So
fancy Chinaware right there. Okay, that's what it is.
exactly. So we kind of do our own cooking, and she's eats. I don't eat vegetables. She's more vegetable. She's gluten free, so she kind of cooks good stuff for her. She's got me into cooking good stuff for myself, but yeah, we usually roll solo on that one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Um. So what's Chad got going on? Like, what's your plans looking like for the next couple of years? Like, what's some goals?
Yeah,
You know,
good,
what you trying to achieve?
good question, man. I want to grow the education aspect. I want to do that. And that's an idea. Ideas are just ideas. You got to have a plan. So I'd like to actually work on more tutorial videos. Like I was saying, it's like finding that B-roll, it's like the cool little movie clip or whatever that fits in. Like I want to produce more timeless information, and that stuff, it's you spend like 10 hours for a 3-minute video, if you're lucky. 10 hours, it could be more than that. So it takes a lot of time, but again, I think good information is good information, and there are things that change because the knowledge changes, but over time I think they'll stand the test of time. I'd love to get out there and maybe do some like workshops, speak at some of these events, really just trying to educate, because the industry itself doesn't really care about home growers. Home growers aren't really putting money in their pockets. Home growers are typically dissuading it from going their way. So the industry itself doesn't really care about you. But I think the home grower is the person who's usually doing it with the most truest reason. It's typically for personal consumption, and majority of the time it's for medicinal purposes.
Yeah.
So that's who I would love to see. And again, it's just kind of that, like question authority or question whatever, because it's like I kind of want to stick my middle finger to the industry. It's just like you've abandoned all the people that really made this happen. So by getting out there with educating and focusing specifically home growers, that would be my goal, man. And I'd love to come out with more lines and more seeds and get more people growing that, because that's a freaking hoot when you're like somebody smoking stuff that I made over here. It's like, whoa, trip. It
Not
really
down by
is.
the river.
Yeah, in a van down by the river. It's yeah. So that's the goal, man. It's just keep spreading the word and get more people doing the thing, man.
I love that, man. I love that. A lot of the home growers seem to have all of the passion. You looking
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the actual big buildings and shit. Like nobody got. It's just about money. Just about money.
And I know people on both sides, and I've worked on both sides. So yeah, it's absolutely right, man.
That's me
That's
right
where the
now.
passion's at. Passion's with
Doing
the home
both.
growers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And it's just sad to see going to work every day and seeing people just like, oh, I don't want to be here and all this. Like just they have no passion. They don't
Yeah.
want to do it. It's just a job.
Yeah.
And that's where what fails a lot of this whole community, because like if you're going to show up to a job like that, you should show up with passion. Anytime you're dealing with something that's is going to be consumed in some type of way, right? You should fucking have some type of passion, because it's some people's health on the line, you know?
Yeah, you should give give a crap.
Mm-hmm.
Really, and especially with this. And sometimes it starts with just the structure of the company or the management itself, but yeah, I've seen some just absolutely toxic environments in places that should be like full of love and joy. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, you just like, you would think that you would be happy to go play with plants all day, you know?
Yeah, it was funny. I don't know if you had this happen too, but I've always seen this throughout the places, but there's always like a really high turnover. Like the 1 week, like if you make it past week 1 and then week 2, you're probably good. You'll be there for at least a few months. But 80% of the people, like the first 3 days, they're like, "Where are the bongs, man? We don't did it take rips during
Yeah.
like break or nothing? Like, what are we doing here?"
Well, you don't mean you mean I can't smoke right now while I work? While we do this?
Yeah. It's unbelievable the amount of people that would come in with that mentality, and I was just like, 3 days. We'd all be like, 3 days, 3 days.
I got a day and a half, $50.
Right. It's funny, man. Sad but true.
Oh yeah. All right. So you've been in the industry for quite some time. So what changes have you seen the most that really surprise you? Like, whether it be from the technological standpoint, like how we've reached farther understanding. And I'm not saying that we completely understand it, because we both know we still don't.
It's true. Yeah.
But we definitely understand a lot more now from when I first started growing, way, like, not way back in the day, like fucking early 2000s, shit, way back in the day. What about you?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that surprised me that they're actually figuring it out now, because they've gone to traditional agriculture for examples, and they've gone to the Dutch, who I think are the masters of anything like horticulture, well, growing related. But that's scaling, like scaling to acres, scaling these huge warehouses, because before, is usually like a house or maybe like a small warehouse. There always were, the exception to the rules, that 1% that had massive fields. But even, even in like Humble, even in the Emerald Triangle, the patches were big, but they were nothing compared to what we have now. So a lot of people failed at scaling, which is obvious, because what you do in a tent doesn't work in a warehouse. You can't have clip fans on the walls of the warehouse. But then from the warehouse to figured out to now like acres to now hectaacres. There was a 40-acre farm that a guy knew. He was showing me footage from it, and I'm like, he just kept driving by, and I kept waiting for it to end, and it didn't end for like minutes on end, and I'm like, the hell. Which is it was all for a pharmaceutical company too. It's all research and development. None of that's going to see the market. But yeah, it was amazing. But so scaling would be the thing that has kind of impressed me, or has had that biggest change, the biggest technology leap in as far as the industry goes. Because that really is, man. That's a deal breaker or a business breaker for a lot of things outside of cannabis as well. Is scaling is the hardest thing to do with any business, particularly when you have a living crop. So, yeah.
So would you say that you feel like that is the biggest opportunities in growth for cannabis's future? Or where would you say the future goes? Like, where would you really want to see progress? Like more understanding of like the cannabinoids and all of that, or more of, like you were saying, that actual sustainable growth, like large scale, like going bigger and bigger, or you know. Sorry, that was a
Sustainable.
bunch of questions. That was a bunch of questions. Sorry.
No, they're all good and they're all tied together because yeah, sustainable growth would be good. I'd love to see that, and there are farms that are working on that in traditional agriculture as well. They're doing it at scale. I do also have the AG background, and farmers want something new but proven, which is an oxymoron. It can't be new if it's already proven. But farmers not going to switch because everything depends on that next harvest, their entire livelihood. So they usually want things proven, but we are seeing the sustainability work in there and become more common. The other thing, damn, I got all passionate about that one. I do that sometimes, and I get like super passionate and try to choose my words. There were a few questions in there. I had answers to it all. But as far as technology advancements, what I would love to see, and this is going to be like, I'm going to be a youth here. Hashtag, nobody does that anymore, but hashtag unpopular opinion here. Designer weed. Like, as shit as that sounds, I want to see it. I want to have, and it's all, the technology is there. We've used it in traditional agriculture, and they're coming closer to it in cannabis. Some for the right reasons, others for not right reasons. One of the not right reasons is you can't patent the plant, but you can patent a chemovar. Chemovar is a chemical profile. If you have a plant continuously producing a unique chemical profile with cannabinoids, with flavonoids, with terpenes, and it reliably expresses that, you can patent that. So a lot of people are looking for that because, hey, patented cannabis. Wouldn't that be cool for the fucking bank account? Sorry for swearing there.
No, you're good. You were 100%.
Okay.
Be you. Like, let me speak this now. I don't. Anybody who ever comes on my show, I don't want you to bullshit in any way. Like, my shit is 100% raw. I want the truth uncut the way it is. You don't beat around the bush. Speak how you speak freely.
Thank you. I will. And like the message is coming across. Sometimes I just choose a different word like frickin' or crap. But yeah. So that, that kind of pisses me off, but that's going to happen. And that's ultimately probably going to be the biggest driver of it because there's that financial incentive for jerk offs. But the benefit of it, and the thing that I am excited and why I actually mentioned that is because when we do get those reliable expressions of that chemovar, we're going to be able to custom tailor medicinal strains for people, whether it's a flower or whether it's an isolated form and recombined, which pretty much all your carts are. I think that's where we're going to be able to do the biggest or largest benefit when it comes to medicinal applications. This is not going to be something that we're going to do at the craft level. It's not something we're going to do at the home level. And I'm thankful because the craft grower and the home grower are going to be who keeps diversity alive. They're going to be the ones that keep pushing the profiles and genetics forward. They're going to be discovering new things. But that big corporate commercial canna, which is already here, you're not getting rid of it. I would love for them to come out with that custom tailored cannabis, because again, medicinal, man, that's where it started, and hopefully that's where it ends for a lot of people.
100%, and that's what it is for a lot of people is medicine. So yeah, to see that kind of stuff would be game changing. You sold me. You sold me on it.
and it's an unpopular opinion, but again, at the same time, it's the craft, it's the home growers that are going to keep the heart and soul alive of what we do. So you can't have one, you got to have both. Let's see. Our foliar feeding and temps, humidity. We have strict rules for orchids on the subject. I'm interested in what you know. Yeah, that's my favorite answer is it depends. And you do ask the various. It depends.
Yes.
Yes. The new which nutrient, what stage of the growing it is, temps and humidity. Typically, I don't reduce temperatures or humidity for like an Epsom salt spray in particular. That's probably one of the more common ones that people will do. That helps get some like magnesium into the plant quickly. Sometimes we can lock that out in the soil if we have a little too much calcium. It also affects phosphorus uptake. So sometimes you see some purpling. It can all be related. So foliar feeding Epsom salt is typically the more common one. Orchids in particular, I'm not familiar with, but yeah, you mentioned strict rules around that. And I know that's a very finicky, for lack of a better term, plant. Like you have to take care of orchids properly.
I don't know.
So yeah, it's a good question, but I do appreciate that, JMJ. And you can always he can always email me too. I know he's reached out to me in the past, so hopefully we've got the line of communication open now with the email. So hit me up anytime.
Oh yeah. Chat and names. How do you guys dry your buds? What is your techniques and what humidities and temperatures do you dry at? I'll let you take this one first, and then
I'll start it off with my favorite saying. It depends. And the reason why it depends, and because see, this is something I have to teach myself. For a long time, people would ask me a question and I would give out advice of what I would do. And then they would be like, but I'm growing outdoors. I'm like, oh, so yeah, it depends. And the reason why I say that with this one is I'm in Washington. I got like a humid or kind of a moisture climate. So I take off all my big leaves. I hang them whole, but in Colorado, where the humidity is super low and stuff dries out really fast, I would leave those big leaves on. So that's why I start with it depends. For me personally, though, I do aim for that 60 and 60. My temperature is usually like 65, and the humidity will fluctuate between like 58 and 63. I'm okay with that. I have a little bit of airflow. But when I harvest, I cut at the base of the stalk. I've already removed the large families. Basically, anything without trichomes on it, I take off. Because if it still has trichomes, when I trim it later, I'll wash that or I'll sift it. So I'm really just trying to get off the big stuff that's holding on to water. And then I hang dry it upside down. I've got light airflow.
Whole plant?
Yeah.
Whole plant.
Oh, whole plant. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Whole plant.
Okay. Yeah,
whole plant. Yep. Yeah. And sometimes, you're right. Because if it's a big plant, it all kind of like tends to clump in the center when you do it. And sometimes I'll go in there and I'll kind of like space the branches out. Because if I crack a branch at that point, what do I care? But yeah, I don't want it to clump. Yeah. So I'll do that. And I make sure there's a little bit of air movement, not directly on the plants, because that will dry them out faster. Just move it around or below it. I do in like an extra bathtub or in the bathroom. I hang them in the shower, but you know how the bathtub has that little scoop at the end? I just set my fan in the bottom and it just blows the air up nice. And it hits that little scoop and it just goes up and around. And yeah,
like point towards the wall, right?
Yep.
Perfect. Yep. Same thing.
And so I do that, and then I let it, hang there. I do have a dehumidifier, which keeps things in the right range for humidity, even though it's not, always at 60% on the dot, but I keep it there. So I do aim for that 60-60 rule. And then usually about 10 to 14 days, it's ready for me to trim up, and then I'll let it sit out for another night, get a little extra moisture off, and then I'll put it into jars and I'll do the burping. But yeah, that's my typical process, but I am lazy sometimes. And when you have a drying room that stays 60 and 60, that's the ideal condition. So if it takes you a month, sometimes it's still good, right?
Hey, you're still technically curing it, right?
Yeah, it's still clear. But yeah, aim for about 10 to 14 days, but all depends on your conditions.
Nice. About that same around that same ball game, but when I chop down my plants, because I am here in Colorado, I don't take off all the leaves like you. I take off about half of them, right? And then I'll take the hangers, and then I'll take the hangers and I'll shove I'll shove it all the way up in there to where it literally will widen out the branches like this. And so now I have like
I
a
like
like
that.
a flower effect, right? And so it holds
Yeah.
everything open for me. And then I just take the take an inline fan, put it on like 3, push everything into my bathroom, because the bathroom is, strangely enough, one of like the coolest parts of the houses. I used to do a lot of construction and find out weird shit, but usually your bathroom is one of the cooler parts, depending on how the property is structured. Um,
Yeah.
so you push your plants into there, and that's like the best. Honestly, I refer it to everyone. The bathroom is where you dry and cure.
Yep. I've never taken a shower in that other bathroom. It's only been reserved for plants,
Yep,
and it's
the
always been
guest
fun.
bathroom.
That hanger technique, though. Yeah, that's awesome. I like that, man. I've not tried that, not seen that. Makes absolute sense as you're saying it.
Yeah, because
I
you know
like
how
that.
the hangers have like the hook parts, right?
Yep.
Like it comes down, has the little hook parts, and then that's the part that you would take your branches and you put them in there. And as you bring it up farther and you take the actual hook, you can bring that up and literally just put it on use the hook itself, like the
Right.
hanger hook, to hold the plant up itself as well. Yeah.
I like that. I might play around with that one next time. We'll see. I'll call you and be like, "Am I doing this right?"
It works, man. It works. Some
Nice.
some surprisingly weird techniques that I've picked up. Yeah.
Dude, that's why I love shows like this and just doing cannabis talk grow shows in general. There's some things that we take as common knowledge because we've always done them or we were shown that way.
Mm-hmm.
Makes absolutely no sense to everybody else, but we've always thought that's the way you do it. So sometimes when
Mm-hmm.
you say things like that, you're like, holy cow, that's an epiphany moment. I love those.
Just suggested me to get in the easy trim curing. Order sold out for $300. Honestly,
I've not tried. I've
not
not tried them.
yeah, I've not.
Yeah.
But I haven't tried a lot of the easy trim things. Regardless, I use a lot of hand trim. Wait,
Yeah.
wait a second.
That'd be a good one. Do you have one already?
No, no.
There you go. That's what you're doing next week.
Yeah.
Right? Next time.
Gotta make something happen. All right. For someone who's just starting out, what are some most common mistakes when it comes to breeding?
Jumping the gun. You're a teenage boy. You want to pollinate everything. Don't do it. Save yourself. Yeah, just really rushing into it and not being familiar with your plants. Because again, I hope you're gonna test your stuff. You absolutely should, especially when you give them out to medicinal patients, because you don't want to be the one that screws up their tent. So yeah, again, be familiar with the plants. Don't rush into it, and yeah, just take your time. I'm sorry, that was a bad answer, but
It's fine, man. It was
yeah.
weird question, I guess. How about this? How about this one? How about this one?
Investigate trick. I always had like really big like pop shove it. So like varials, I could do those down like anything. I always like flat banks, but it's or hard flips and doing hard flips too. So my my era of skateboarding, like if you could do a kick flip and a heel flip, you were probably at least on the flow team. But now it's like you come out of the womb like doing freaking
Tray flip.
double kick flips. Yeah. So I've got I've got some of the flips down. I've got, a lot of the basic stuff, done a lot of the street stuff, but I kind of get by on my old man style. Like I just make simple things look good. That's probably my best skate trick these days, man. I just make
That's
that simple
perfect.
stuff look smooth.
That's perfect. I love it. I love it. Oh man. So what's the worst experience you've ever had when it comes to skating? Like you ever break anything?
Oh, dude, broken stuff, like tore stuff. Like tearing is worse than breaking. And the doctor actually told me that once. He's like, it would have been better if you broke it. I'm like, yeah, thanks. But yeah, ripping ligaments, ripping muscles. None of that stuff is good. There was one, my ankle in particular, I couldn't run for over a year. I ripped the ligaments that go over the ankle, and like even like I remember 6 months into it, I stepped off a curb funny, and that fucked me up walking for like another month. Like I couldn't run for a full year. I had to recover through that. So that was probably like one of the worst and the longest, but my easiest, like most painful one. And if you're a skater, you might be familiar with the term credit card. But dude, doing a credit card off a loading dock,
No,
like
no.
and luckily, like it moved to the side at the last minute, but the entire like area was black for just like weeks, dude. Like that is easily the most painful skate injury I've had, and it's on video, of course.
Oh, is it? Oh, you
We were always filming, yeah.
send that to me, Chad. Just send it over. I want to see that.
Oh, it's horrible. Oh God, yeah. There's some good stuff. There's some good stuff.
Does Chad rollerblade?
Oh, that hurts,
Roller
man.
skate? Fruit boot?
That hurts. Exactly. No, I absolutely don't. But I did play ice hockey for a few years, and so I did have rollerblades for just like practicing in the hockey courts for like inline hockey. But that was the extent of it. I didn't jump downstairs. I didn't jump on ledges. I didn't steal anybody's style. I didn't steal their clothing. I didn't take their lingo. None of that.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Good. I love it.
Yep.
So, do you have any cannabis strains that you think are underestimated? More, that people should more talk about. Like oh, sorry.
I'm into like the minor cannabinoids, like CBD. I really like 1-to-1 strains. One of my buddies in the Netherlands has a strain called Kanesh. It's an amazing 1-to-1. I think more people should experiment with the minor cannabinoids in their life, whether it be CBD, whether it's CBG. A lot of like hemp variety plants are typically where you'll find those minor cannabinoids in higher percentages. And those, check with your local jurisdiction, but hemp is still hemp. And a lot of people can grow that legally, even without the ability to grow cannabis in that state. So sometimes it's a lot more accessible for people, but just even blending that in with your regular flower, or if you do concentrates or make hash, you can still make it out of the minor cannabinoid, CBD, CBG, same as you would THC. So I would probably recommend that, because I don't think as many people are talking about it as they would if they've experienced it. There's still a lot of, like THC chasers, and that's absolutely fine too. That's a lot of the market. But I think a lot of people listening, and a lot of people, at least in this community, are aware that there's more outside of THC. But I don't think everybody's like actually really pursued finding some of that stuff and working it into their routine.
Yep, and you hear way too often, like people go into the dispos and stuff. Oh, I just want the strongest thing you got. What's the highest testing THC thing that you got going on?
Yeah, and I used to work in a dispo too, so I firsthand know it. And unfortunately, that is actually what sells. Like that's really what they want. Oh God, it was a funny story. We had forbidden fruit come into the store, it tested at like 13%, which was so low that there wasn't going to be a single person that would buy it. It was the frostiest looking flower that we had in the store. And so we kind of just, I said, all right, guys, as just like our own little, like, not joke, but experiment. Because, you know, people, when you go to a dispensary, there is management telling those people to push certain products. They are trying to do that, as businesses do. But for us, I was just curious because I knew if we said, hey, do you want to check out this 13% weed? Everybody would say no. So when they walked in, I told everybody, show them it and they'll buy it. And they did. That it sold out like that day. They're like, dude, you ever seen anything this frosty? No way, dude. Holy cow. And they almost like forgot to ask about THC. But yeah, they went home, they tried it, they liked it. They came back, they asked for more. But yeah, otherwise it's a lead in. It's like, I want the highest THC or I want the most from $1.
Yeah.
It's one of the two. And that's, you know, that's a young market, and that's fine. We're a young market. There you go, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Difference of what times to harvest. Now, if we want to go down the scientific route and use numbers that we're not going to be able to quantify at home, yes, CBD and THC have different maturity rates or different levels, but it's like such a minor thing. Again, it's like there is a precise answer, but we can't measure it, and with our bodies ourselves, we're probably not going to detect the difference. Regular time, man. If it's an 8-week strain, or if it says 8 weeks and you're looking at the trichomes, I would just harvest it then. So yeah, same deal.
That trichome. So you know how like there's the standard we wait like until there's a certain amount that are amber, stuff like that. I can't remember. I was watching, oh man, I feel like an idiot now. I was going to mention that there was this live that I was watching. There's some people that are going to do some deeper research into finding out if there's like an actual feasible thing of that, or if it's just like a ripening, like an apple would, like how an apple oxygenates and stuff like that.
Yep,
exactly. If that's essentially what it is, or if it is that the THC is or CBD is breaking down. One of them is breaking down into something else, right? What's your thoughts on that?
Yep. So and you're totally right. The I can't even say the word, but that is the right word. Oxidization.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and that's a real thing. And what we are, from what I understand and what we've seen, is and granted, they could definitely do more research on it. But yeah, the changing in color from like the clear to the milky to the amber, specifically the milky to the amber, is the degradation of THC. So it breaking down, oxidization, that's a fun word, kind of has some part in that, but it's changing form. And because like THC doesn't start as THC, it starts as CBN. And there's a lot of high CBN in mature or immature plants, young plants. And then as it grows, it matures. But what they're thinking is that so the milky into amber is THC kind of degrading into everything starts as CBG.
Yeah.
I just said CBN. CBN is what it's degrading to. That's where I meant to go. So yeah, everything starts as CBG, then it goes to the cannabinoids. But yeah, THC breaking down into CBN. And CBN is been linked to helping with like sleep or sedativeness. There's obviously a lot more research that can be done on that to prove it, but that's kind of where it's been linked. But yeah, how I understand it is that color change is the actual cannabinoids morphing into the next form.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So on that note, this is real quick. I got you real quick. What tools do you think that are indispensable, honestly, in the grow when it comes to breeding or even just growing in general?
Observation. It's free. It's the best tool, and note keeping in particular with breeding. Again, because you want
Paper.
to take notes. But as far as like a tool that you would go out to the store and like purchase, um, wow, for breeding, it'd probably be a boring answer of like Microsoft Excel, so you can track everything. Like that really would be that, because I mean, you're not really using any meters. You're not using like a pH or EC meter. You're not using a par meter to measure the light when it comes to breeding. It really is just that observation and note keeping to it. I guess if I had to pick an answer, maybe by doing sap analysis or soil analysis. Sap analysis tells you what's in the plant, soil
Yeah.
analysis tells you what's in the soil. But if you're getting sap analysis done and you see all the levels are like good or they're spot on, then you know that's probably the true proper expression of the plant. Like it's not going to be grown any better. It's not going to give you a different expression, because sometimes like chems, some of the OGs, if you don't grow them right, if they struggle at any point, they're not going to give you the exact profile you want because they're finicky. So they have to be grown right. So I guess that would be, if I had to pick one for breeding and it can't be Microsoft Excel, it'd probably be doing some SAP analysis to make sure you're growing it to its best potential. And yes, Golden Grown, good to see you. You're absolutely right. And I do appreciate that about like chat. And there's a lot of smart people out there. Because sometimes we misspeak. We accidentally, oh crap, I meant to say that. And so I love having educated people in there like that. And yes, you're absolutely right. I'm glad I did catch that one. But yeah, starts a CBG, and then we were talking about it going into CBN. But yeah, tools, observation, man. That's free.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. So how do you stay informed about the latest trends in the research in the cannabis world? Any favorite sources of information? Like
In general, when it comes to medicinal studies, Tiki Olam, Israel, they do a lot of clinical human trials with cannabis. A lot of the clinical trials performed in the US aren't done on humans. They aren't using forms of cannabinoids we would typically ingest them as, which again is important. So they are a company, and they work with the hospitals over there. They actually have volcanoes set up for vaporization for some of their patients to help do these clinical studies. So for human results there, a lot of times, again, a lot of stuff traditional agriculture has already figured out, but it's not specific to cannabis. There are more specific cannabis specific studies coming out, which is great. Descheduling to 3 will exponentially increase that. Colleges can't really study it now in a positive way because they're federally funded, still federally illegal. But I'd love to see more of the testing and the medicinal benefits. Damn, I squirreled again.
you're all good. You're all good.
I hope I answered that one to the most. Where do I look for resources? Sorry. Yeah, thank you. So that was the medicinal side. You're looking there. Pretty much how I find things are like, I'll just go on the Google hunt, and a lot of times I'll type in like edu at the end, because that will bring you to like a lot of the college or the educational websites. Oregon State University is a great agricultural one. Washington State University is great agricultural ones. Those are specific to my region. If you're an outdoor grower, every state has a dedicated agricultural like wing. Like there's dozens, hundreds of colleges in Washington, but the two main ones are, the Washington University, which are the Huskies, and then Washington State University, which are the Cougars. Those are the two main colleges. WSU has the agricultural wing. So every state has, their one or two big colleges. One of them will have a dedicated agricultural department. They will let you know what the soils are like, what the pest pressures in your region are. They will tell you so many things specific to your region. So if you're an outdoor grower, lean on those extensions, the agricultural extensions. But in general, for cannabis specific stuff, I just kind of have to go on a Google hunt, find a good peer-reviewed paper, and a good peer-reviewed paper is going to list its citations. It's a rabbit hole. It has to back up every sentence they basically write. And let's say you're studying this topic, but that one sentence really interests you, click on that citation. Now you're taken to that study. And that's how your rabbit hole can begin. And then you just learn the sites and the places to find it from there. But yeah, type it in and then type in EDU or go to Google Scholar. That'll help as well.
Okay. Nice.
That was a lot there.
No, you're good. And so, like you said, like EDU, right? You can go on their websites, and that's where they're posting. What are they called? Their studies, their pages.
Yeah. So there's white papers, and then there's research papers, and a lot of people use them interchangeably, but they're different. White papers are pretty much always paid for. They always have an agenda. Read the conflict of interest. So white papers are usually put out by companies to support how great their products are. And a lot of times they'll cherry pick the information. Like, nitrogen is so good for your plants. It's completely essential. You need more nitrogen. True, but you can also give your plant nitrogen toxicity. So that's what I mean by skewed. But research papers have been like properly vetted. They're peer reviewed, and that system is imperfect as well. But it's better than a white paper that has an obvious agenda. So yeah, look for research papers that are peer reviewed.
Peer reviewed. All right.
Yeah.
I was always wondering about that because I saw that you do read a lot of those. Like you mention them.
I got a weird, like I said earlier, I like editing, which is weird. And for some reason, I like reading weird technical papers that are just dry and boring, but for some reason they're fun. They make sense at some point if I read enough of them.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. I'm a big nerd. I like that stuff. I'll read that all day.
Nice.
But Anthony got a question for you. Besides gardening or growing activities, what do you like doing to clear your mind?
Taking a walk. I'm surrounded by nature. So I'll just get out. Well, I mean, fortunately, I'm surrounded by nature. Yeah, I'll get out. I'll go out and do that. I mean, I was a city kid for most of my life. So like you could say, well, get up and go for a walk. It's like, dude, really? You know where I live? So yeah, it's a little bit different. I mean, in the city, music was my escape a lot of times. And especially like with a good pair of headphones, you get that like spatial recognition of where all the instruments are. And if you have like a well-produced album, you can put on the headphones and just get lost in it anywhere. And I still do music like that here. It's a fun escape, but I can open my door and be in a park in like a couple minutes. So that's typically how I unwind these days.
That's nice, man. You ever do any what is it called? Grounding? Like
yes.
Take your shoes off, go stand out in the bare ground, man.
Yeah. My wife turned me on to it. I understood the concept before, but yeah, like I feel it. I love it. Like my feet connected with the earth. That helps. That really does help. There's something to it. Again, it's like a lot of cannabis. I don't have the answer. I don't know why, but I feel it, and I'm going to keep doing it. So yeah, good suggestion.
Okay. Psycho Chick got a question. What are you wanting to do most with your YouTube and Discord for the grow community? Mainly just spread good information and for free. Like a lot of people get, I wouldn't say dissuade. Well, no, that'd actually be a pretty good word. Dissuade. Yeah, that a lot of people just get, turned away from it, like thinking that it's too hard. And I just want to show people that it's not that hard. There's thousands of ways to do it. Like you
Hell
can
yeah.
find the next way to do it. You wouldn't even know. Like it's
Yep.
so many different ways. All I got to do is just look into things that you want, you know. And so I really just want to share all the information that I can, just like you, man.
Hell yeah.
My whole thing. Yeah.
That's good, man. And I appreciate you for that. And like I've had a wonderful conversation. So I think you're gonna be like a natural at this. Like just having conversations with people is like that coat hanger thing, man. That's where you just learn things. Like things will just pop up in conversations and you'll be like, oh, moment of genius. So
And
yeah.
that's literally my thoughts exactly. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm doing a lot of interviews with big guys like you, um,
Thanks.
that have been in the game for a while and they know a lot of tips and tricks, because I will eventually ask something that somebody won't ask, or they'll ask it something that I won't ask. You know what I mean? And so eventually we'll get the entire picture. You know,
Yeah.
figure it all out together.
And it's fun too. And I love the ability of talking with growers. Like, some people will look at me and be like, ah, you've been growing for a long time. And there's people that I look at, I'm like, man, you've been growing for a long time. And there's going to be days where people are looking at you like, man, you've been growing for a long time. And it's all, if we stick with it, we're all going to be there. We're all getting to that same place. It's really that passion and that dedication just to really stay the course. Um, a cool thing about talking with people from like the past, the present, like the middle too, is you learn new things. Like I always say, like education is good, education is great, but there's also a ton to be said for practical experience. And the best combination is both. Because I've known a lot of growers who have been doing this for like 30, 40 years. They're great at what they do, and they're still great at what they do, but they haven't kept up with the times. And there's a lot of things and like techniques or shortcuts that can make their life simpler, that can maybe make things better, but they just have the experience. They haven't continued to educate themselves. So, and this is going to, I mean, change as time goes by, because pretty soon you're going to have to be more than just a good grower, but they're still good enough that they can survive. And then there's a lot of people, and I see this a ton with the commercial fields. They are highly educated. They are extremely smart. They know a ton about plant and crop production. They grow some of the worst crap because they don't have any like real experience. They know, well, if X and Y, then we do B. But if you don't know the why behind of what you're doing in that formula, you're never going to figure it out. So that's why I say like that education needs to meet that experience. And that is like the best way forward for anybody. Don't get complacent. Don't be a dinosaur, and don't be a know-it-all. You need to be both.
Oh yeah. Always try to learn. Always try to learn. And
Yep.
always be humble. Don't be a fucking dick.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Don't close yourself off. Like
Yeah,
there is something to be learned from everybody. So yeah, yeah.
100%. 100%. I love that. No, it stumbling like a motherfucker right now. It just seems that I've been doing this for like a while, and a lot of my friends and family have just told me to do it, dude. Like hop on
Yeah,
YouTube, start talking to these people,
yeah,
spread some of the information that you got, try to get some more information. That's what you're about, you know. And so
yeah.
here I am, man. And it's just crazy to see that people are actually like here, you know, like supporting me, because like I'm like I'm usually the guy who's quiet because I don't try to talk about things that I don't know nothing about. It don't make no sense to talk out your ass and try to impress a bunch of people you probably will
Right,
never meet in your life. You know what I mean? Or like
right. Yeah.
first meters. That doesn't make no sense. It's a waste of energy. Um,
It,
and like these people, they're like everybody like just love it, like showing all the love, bro. It's just crazy. That's what really like motivates me and shit. You know, because like I love sharing that information. I love teaching people. Like that is my jam. And like especially if I can teach them something like I'm already passionate about, that's even like
right.
better. You know what I mean? Like easy.
100%, dude. 100%. And that's, again, I talk about the long term or the long run. It's like, it's easy to do that when you're just you, when you have like that raw, just like that passion or the excitement for it, because you don't have to fake it. You're always there. You're always at that level. And those are the people I like listening to. Those are the people that I want to watch. And there's, some people where maybe I know the answers, but I love how they talk. I love the conversations they have. I like the questions they ask from other people. And there's, times where I'm just clued in with my pen and my paper too. But it's the personality behind it that draws me to those conversations and those people, because it's, like-minded individuals, but also it's direction too, and it's passion, and I totally see that. And that's, again, this has been a good conversation, because we could both legitimately just keep geeking out on this, and then, and that's that's what I enjoy, and that's what'll take you further. But it's sometimes those innocent questions, or I do this a lot, like I always say the smart person knows when to ask a question. So I can get over my initial like shyness. I'm also like the most antisocial social person you'll ever meet. Like great behind the camera, but in person, I'm just like, fuck, I got social anxiety. But I forgot where I was going with that again, because I get social anxiety. But just talking with people, getting the mission going. Sorry, I squirreled that again. I'm getting all passionate on the show, man.
Damn. Bro, you are all good. You're all good. Keep going. You're all good. I'm in the same boat, man. I literally have social anxiety like crazy. Like I was saying, I was the quiet one, dude. I don't talk to people. I don't do any of that. But
that's why I became the musician. I could be in a room full of 1,000 people, but not have to talk to them. Like I'm up there, I'm just doing my thing. Like I have a job to do. And that's what I'm focused on. Like I like this, I love this, I know how it wants to go. I'm there to do a job. So I'm not focused on all the eyeballs. And then when it's over, I'm just like, okay, let's hang out back here. It's cool.
Just chilling. Don't mind me.
Chilling. Yep. But I forgot where I tailed off there. But ultimately, I think I was just trying to express, like, oh God, and I hate to use such a cheesy saying, but real recognizes real. When you really do have a passion for the plant, when you really do have a passion for educating people and helping others, people see that, and you tend to stick around a lot longer, and you help more people that way. So yeah, dude, keep doing you.
Man, thank you. I got crazy passion for this. Like I've been growing weed since I was allegedly 16.
Yes. Of course, always. Chunky, good to see him again too.
Oh yeah, man. I was just hit him up in your lap, man. Love it. Who has a better hair and beard than Mr. Ted Westport?
I mean, the beard's not the most prominent thing, but
I don't know.
Gandalf. Gandalf's the answer I always get, man. Gandalf and Fabio. Those two put me to shame. And if you understand Fabio, then you're probably over 30. So yeah.
I'm not a culturally impaired. Is that how they say it? I know who Fabio is. I'm not over 30.
Okay. Well, good for you. Because I can't name the Kardashians. I know who they are, but I don't know all of them. I know they exist.
The only one I know is Kim Kardashian, and that's because things.
It's funny when me and my wife, we walked to the front of the grocery store, and they have all like the People magazine and all the tabloids. We walked up, and I'm like, I don't recognize a single person on here. We have succeeded. I don't know a single person. Officially old. I like it.
So, how do you balance your personal life with your professional life?
Boy, that's something I need to work on. I don't have a good balance, because they really are one and the same. You know, yeah, it's almost one and the same. It's like I'd be doing this even if nobody was watching, and that's how I've always been with like skateboarding. That's how I was with music. It's like I would be doing it if nobody was paying attention, and I'm lucky enough that people are. I try not to answer some messages or DMs. Like I try to leave that for like Sunday afternoon, and like one time during the week, because it's a I'm never caught up, because as soon as I finish answering everything, I've already had like 15 replies. And then I could go back and I could get those replies, and then it's more. So I've had to kind of just start trying to make that division of work-life balance. But everybody's still, I still get back to everybody, and I still encourage everybody to reach out to me. I'm not like complaining here, but I'm just saying that's one of the things that I'm trying to make boundaries. I'm like, okay, this is the like hours of the day I'm going to sit down to do this, instead of just turning it into an all-day thing. Yeah, I need better work-life balance, but this is my life too, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah, but yeah, you always gotta have some you time, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I like watching UFC. I like watching UFC fights. So sometimes there's, and then because I don't have like me time, I actually will watch those like, hour-long breakdowns or the post shows. I enjoy those because that's like my one like, okay, I'm not doing anything plant related for the next like hour and a half. I'm just gonna listen to my MMA talk. That's all.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, man. I love the UFC. It's changed a lot though. Changed a lot.
Yeah, yes. The Zuffa era was great. The new era is much different.
I liked what's his name? I was just talking about him the other day. Mirko Kokop.
Yes. Left leg hospital, right leg morgue.
Yeah.
Mirko Krokop.
Oh yeah.
I got to see him fight live. I saw him fight live. He was
lucky. Did you hear that Dakota from Homegrow TV and Grow Bro Brian got into High Time magazine? Nice.
Interesting and awesome. So High Times has been broke, as a joke forever, and they finally went into receivership. And if you try to go to their website, it doesn't exist anymore. Like they've pulled all their assets down. So High Times I own hightimes.app, by the way, if anybody wants to buy it. Yeah. I said fuck High Times when they came out with the .apps, because I'm like, everybody wants .app. I'm buying hightimes.app.
Yeah.
So High Times, I think, is done in itself, but aside from that accomplishment is huge. Like that is the like mecca of like all historical like magazines. Being in High Times is something awesome. And I did recently watch Dakota from Homegrow TV taking his video production and grows into the next level with his greenhouse and the new property. He's going to be doing some pretty cool things. So that's awesome. Good for him, man. He seems to be, I don't know him, I've never talked to him, but he seems to be a really hardworking dude. And again, I appreciate the quality of the footage and the editing and all that he does. Like I can dissect and appreciate that too. So yeah, High Times, but big ups to him and everything else he's doing. So yeah, that's cool.
I just can't believe they went broke. I remember back in the day when I was a little kid, seeing their magazines. They were, oh man, that was the big thing. That was the big thing, man. Like that's where I wanted to grow up. And then like I'm like grown up, but I'm like been in the game for a while. And I'm like,
they're going to
like it's not. I don't understand why they got so broke. I just hear a bunch of bad things about how they've been running their shows, we'll say.
It's like, I know a lot of the backstory with it. A lot of it is public, not all of it, but that will be like, if anybody out there from Netflix is watching, like the rise and fall of High Times will be the most interesting and fun documentary to make and watch. Like it basically, unfortunately, Chads took it over, not a literal Chad, but Chads took it over in when legalization happened, and they just tried to do too much, and yeah, they screwed it up. So it was like it went from like a home grower thing to a commercial thing, and well, here we are. So yeah, I would love to see that movie though. If anybody ever makes the rise and fall of High Times, that would be a freaking hit because it'll be a riot. It'll be a riot.
Yeah, I'll watch the shit out of that. Get a Blu-ray copy.
Right.
Man. So, was there anything that you do specifically when it comes to your nutrients when you start switching? Oh no, you answered that one. You don't do anything. Yeah, see, that was that question, and I was like, "Damn, you answered that one right off the rip." Yeah.
5 and 1.
Yeah. Dang. All right. So, what kind of nutrients do you use?
Kiss Organics. It's just a organic dry amendment that I add to the soil probably every couple of weeks, and I just hand water it in. I'll scratch it in the top of the surface a little bit, but just hand water over top, and does its thing. It's been really nice to kind of move away from like formulations like synthetic, organic. Did that for a long time. I'm not really full organic living soil. Like I'm not making preparations. I kind of almost found the cheat code, which I'm happy about. Because again, I want things to be easy for people, and I don't have all the time in the world either. But the dry amendments, Kiss Organics, they've done the R&D. They've researched what the plant needs. They actually have done cannabis specific studies with the soil testing and with the sap analysis. So based off of that kind of information, they formulated their dry amendments, and yeah, just sprinkle it on, water it in. That's how easy my life is these days.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try some of that. Yeah. Organics.
Yeah, Kiss Organics is good stuff. KIS, and it's usually so every Tuesday afternoon at 2 on the West Coast, or every other. Yeah, me and Tad do a live Q&A about organic growing, and Tad is the person behind Kiss Organics. So that's another fun thing too. I'm front of the class with my hand raised, so if I ever have a question on how it works or how he formulated it, I can usually get the answer.
And you said it's Tuesdays?
Yes, Tuesdays. Sorry about that.
You're all good, Ted. You're all good. Sick, man. Well, if you want to give a quick shout out where people can find you.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, thanks for having me on today. It's been a fun conversation. Again, time flies like so quickly.
I just realized what time it was. I was like, oh shit, I still gotta start dinner.
Right? I gotta do that too. I'm probably gonna go for a walk though. I'm gonna just come back, make some dinner, and watch some fights. It's UFC Abu Dhabi. Corey Sandhagen tonight, guys. Come on, catch it. No.
Oh my god.
Yeah. You find me so chadwestport.com. That's the best place. That has links to my Instagram, chad.westport, and it has links to my YouTube, which is just Chad Westport. But chadwestport.com, you can find all my writing. If you go there, you click the info tab, you'll find links to the different articles I've wrote for different companies, some video series, and then stores, got some beans, got some shirts, got some stickers, got a bunch of stuff. And yeah, that's the best place to find out all the information. It's just chadwestport.com.
Oh yeah. And I'll have pretty sure I got those dropped in the description as well, just in case.
Oh, thank you.
Find them. No problem, bro. Thank you for doing the show. Thank you for letting me pick your brain and ask some questions, bullshit with me, bro. It's always fun, dude.
It is. I'm sorry, I cut you.
No, you are good. I was about to say, but because you were about to say, we'll cut each other off.
I'm sorry. There's a little bit of a lag. I'm trying to time it right. I feel bad for cutting off.
My bad. It's all good, bro. I fucking forgot my train of thought now.
That's all right. I can thank you. I want to thank you for having me on, man. And again, it's really great to meet you. It's great to meet people with like a true passion for the plant. Always love to be in that orbit. So definitely, stay in touch. I'm sure we'll talk again. Love to have you as a guest as well. Because again, educating people, getting it out, getting information out to people. That's what it's all about, bro. So we're waiting for your coat hanger video. We're all waiting for it in chat.
All right, I got you. I'll make the coat hanger video. That's actually it's perfect. It's perfect. I got a couple things I gotta chop down in like 3 days, I think it is. So yeah, look at that.
There you go.
You're lucky. Perfect timing.
Yes, man. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for showing up. Make sure to hit that like, share this, subscribe, and as always, stay high, my friends.
Westport.
Peace out.